Former witch Jenny Weaver has spoken out about her shock at the widespread acceptance of witchcraft, even within the church. In a recent interview, she highlighted the role of the media in pushing and normalizing occult practices and the dark side. Weaver's perspective is particularly interesting given her own background as a former witch.
Yeah, around the age of 13, I was starting to get depressed. I was being bullied at school. And even though I was in a Christian home, my parents did the best that they could, but they were heavily on the side of just abuse. And so when you were in trouble, you were beat. And so I believe the enemy used that to come against my self-worth, who I thought I was. And I was so depressed. I just thought if I would die, life would be better for everybody else. And so during that time, I was connected with some girls, and I remember going to a sleepover, and they watched a movie called The Craft. And this movie came out around 1996, and it was about 4 witches who were in high school. And these witches were bullied and picked on, and their lives were kind of messed up, and they used witchcraft to control situations around them and to get what they wanted. I watched the movie, and I thought, I want that. Well, of course, in the movie, they went too far anyway, and the witchcraft had turned against them, and the girls were desperate to get out of it. But during that point, I didn't even see that ending. I just thought, oh, I won't go that far. I'm just going to be innocent in it. And I began to study the religion of Wiccan and study different spells and incantations and New Age practices and occult practices that I was doing in a Christian home that nobody knew I was doing. And so what started off as something innocent where I'm just connecting with energy and the universe and vibes and all these innocent things that we see took me down a path of just dark desperation. I felt at one point that I was living in like a haunted house because I was hearing scratches on the wall right next to me. I would feel brushed by me and be terrified that somebody is here in the room with me. Someone's watching me. I've always felt like I was being watched. When I would wash my face for the day, it was one of the most terrifying things that I did. When I took a shower and I had to close my eyes, I was so terrified. If I had to get up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, I would run because I thought something's going to grab my feet. I was an adult at this point.
She knows firsthand the power and allure of the dark side, and the dangers that can come with dabbling in the occult. For her, the fact that so many people seem to be embracing witchcraft is deeply concerning. Weaver's observation that the media has played a major role in normalizing the occult is not unfounded. In recent years, there has been a growing trend in popular culture towards depicting witchcraft and other occult practices in a positive light. Shows like Charmed and Sabrina the Teenage Witch have presented witches as powerful and glamorous figures, while movies like The Craft and Practical Magic have portrayed them as independent and rebellious. These depictions of witchcraft in the media can have a powerful influence on young people, who are often the primary audience for these types of shows and movies. They may see these portrayals as aspirational, and be drawn towards exploring the occult themselves. It's worth noting that not all depictions of witchcraft in the media are negative. There are plenty of examples of shows and movies that portray witches as complex and multidimensional characters, rather than one-dimensional villains. However, the problem arises when these depictions are presented in a way that glamorizes or romanticizes the occult. Weaver's point about the influence of Hollywood is particularly relevant given the power and reach of the entertainment industry. Hollywood has the ability to shape cultural attitudes and values, and its depictions of the occult can have far-reaching consequences. Weaver believes that the normalization of the occult is particularly concerning because it's happening within the church as well.
I think media has done a good job of pushing something to the point where it is now normalized, when back in the day, something like that for you and I, it would be shocking to see. And now, because we have shows as early as, daycare age, promoting witchcraft and sorcery, and it's okay, boys and girls, say these spell words with us. And it's so ABC preschool witchcraft that it gets into the hearts and the minds of people, including the people in church, and people who are not really connected with the Lord and don't understand.
She argues that many Christians are falling prey to the seductive appeal of witchcraft, and that this can lead them down a dangerous path. In her view, the church should be a place of light and truth, rather than a place where dark practices are tolerated or even celebrated.
Jenny, that a lot of people are burning sage. I had a Christian friend of mine who was saying that, she bought a new home and she wanted to burn sage. I said, what are you burning sage for? She wasn't even sure why, but she said, I heard it's the thing to do. So what's your take on Christians even burning sage, and what's that supposed to do?
Burning sage is something that I did while I was practicing witchcraft. And when I got into a home with another witch that I lived with, the very first thing that we did as witches is we got bundles of sage from the New Age store, and we would burn sage.
So what can be done to combat the normalization of the occult? Weaver suggests that Christians need to take a stand and speak out against these practices. She also encourages parents to be vigilant about what their children are watching and engaging with online. Ultimately, Weaver's message is a powerful reminder of the dangers of the dark side. While witchcraft may seem alluring and exciting, it can lead to real harm and spiritual darkness. By staying vigilant and speaking out against these practices, we can help to keep ourselves and our communities safe from the influence of the occult. To guard against the dangers of the occult, Christians must remain true to biblical teachings and stay vigilant. By doing so, they can protect themselves and their communities from the spiritual implications of witchcraft and the occult. The rise of witchcraft and the occult may be concerning, but with awareness and action, Christians can remain steadfast in their faith and resist the influence of these practices. Tell us what you think in the comment below, like and subscribe, and let us know which other topics you would like us to cover.